And we're back. Today I am going to have a response video to Tenkar's Taverns. He recently did a video, What is the brOSR? Hey, I'm Scudder for Mike. I am a brOSR DM and I would like to shed a little light on the subject matter. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. I do want to say that I have nothing but respect for Tenkar's Taverns. Anytime somebody makes YouTube videos and they put their face out there, that they open themselves up to criticism, I have nothing but respect for that. So sometimes I might come off as a little punchy. I have nothing but respect for the man, and everything I'm going to say here, I hope opens up some channels and maybe clears up some of the misconceptions about the brOSR. What is the brOSR? Great question. We are gamers. We value playing rules as written. We think Advanced Dungeons and Dragons is the best system ever created. Everything else, every other system that exists is a pale reflection of what a game could be. There is one other game that's kind of rising to the top, that's Adventure Conqueror King by Alexander Macrease, but that's not what we're here to talk about. The bros, we come off as a little grating because we catch a lot of slack for our beliefs and the claims that we make. We say that Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, rules as written, is the best version of the game, and we will stick by that. And when you make an unequivocal statement like this is the best, people will come out and challenge you on that. And that's what we get a lot on Twitter, on YouTube. People want to deny our opinion. The same people who will say that there's no wrong way to play will tell us that we are wrong for playing the rules directly written as they are in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons by Gary Gygax. Sometimes they'll say things like, Gary didn't play that way. We don't really care if Gary played that way at his home or not. What we care about is the rules that he wrote down in the book. And the rules that he wrote down in the book, they clearly lay out that you should track your calendar in Jeffro Gygaxian time. No, Jeffro did not name that after himself. B-Dubs from the brOSR, another prominent member, he named it that. Sometimes it's called one-to-one timekeeping, but I think that name sometimes confuses people. They hear one-to-one time and they think that every minute that happens at your table has to be accounted for in the game. That's not what it is. If you have to go to the bathroom, your character does not have to go to the bathroom. That's not one-to-one time. So we like to use the term Jeffro Gygaxian timekeeping because it takes away that misconception. And what the rule says is that for every day that passes in the real world, on the real world calendar, one day is also going to pass in your game calendar when you're not playing the game. When not at play is a very important aspect of one-to-one time. When you are at play, when everybody shows up to the table, the DM, he's going to look at his calendar. Whatever the day is on the calendar, in the real world, he's going to mark that down. Then you play your session, just like you would any other session. Multiple days can pass in the game, you take long rests, etc., etc. You travel long distances. Whatever day in the game that you stop on, check your calendar and mark it down. The Dungeon Master will tell those PCs that they can play again when the real world catches up to the game calendar. That's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. But it changes the dynamic of your game. You're no longer playing the get-along gang, the four best friends who are always in the game. Instead, the focus of the game switches to the world. And one player might play multiple PCs because his wizard is crafting a magic spell. Well, the rules in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons say that player, that PC, is crafting for several weeks. That time must be accounted for, and we do that by attaching it to the real world calendar. If you hand wave that rule, you're making the wizard more powerful than they should be without the cost-benefit analysis. They just get all of the benefit. The term brOSR, I think we should talk about that. It doesn't mean Bronstein. It's not from Bronstein. It's more along the lines of like, bro, you're my bro. Like, do you lift, bro? Do you play Raw, bro? Did you go to the gym today, bro? Did you go to church this week, bro? Did you read Appendix N, bro? We're trying to mess with each other, tease each other, lift each other up by challenging each other. Iron sharpens iron. That is something that we like to do, is challenge each other. And we think that if we challenge each other to do more pull-ups, to not disregard any rules in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, but challenge yourself to try to figure it out, to work through the frustration of flipping the book or trying to figure out a mechanic, that we become better men, we become better gamers, we become better friends and members of our community. So let's get back on track. What is it that Jeffro did? Why is it Jeffro Gygaxian time? Well, Jeffro did not create Jeffro Gygaxian time. It was named after him by B-dubs, but what Jeffro contributed to the hobby is he found the rule. People just disregarded it for so long. It's in OD&D, it's in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. It is a timekeeping rule that Gary says is best practice. And while there are some people online, some detractors who say, oh, we always played that way, or no one plays that way, or Gary didn't play that way, what Jeffro did was he found this rule and he brought it back into the conversation, into the zeitgeist, and that's why it's partially named after him, out of respect. We're big on giving respect in the brOSR, if you've earned it. We like to say thank you to the people who contribute to the hobby, and one of those people who we revere is Major David Wesley, the creator of the Bronstein. This is a game that took place in the early 70s, before Dungeons & Dragons, and his experience was laid out in the documentary The Secrets of Blackmore, which you should watch. But the creator of that documentary is a friend to David Wesley, and he is not a big fan of the bros. He despises us. But regardless of that, his content, the video that he made, the documentary he made, is good, and you should watch it. You should read his books, because the history of where our hobby comes from is really important, and you can learn a lot about what it is that led to where we are today and what was the original intentions with some of these games. And so we watched the documentary, we learned about the Bronstein from the documentary, and we replicated what we saw in the documentary into our games. Now, Griff will tell us that we're not playing Bronsteins, we're playing Blackmore games. That, regardless of what his perception of what it is that we do, we are playing Bronstein. He doesn't know, because he's blocked everyone, and then he sees that we type it on Twitter, and in 240 characters, he thinks that he understands everything that we're talking about. We've watched hours of his documentary, we've read his books. I think we have a pretty good understanding of what we're doing. Now, what does Bronstein play? As defined by Jeffro, and agreed upon by Griff, is independent agents acting and carrying out their personal interests under a fog of war. The fog of war is a term for the secrets that the Dungeon Master keeps from all the other players. So a person can choose to, I want to go rob this character. Well, not everybody at the table should be privy to that. Only the Dungeon Master and that player should know. And these decisions that are made between each player and the Dungeon Master are resolved by that referee. So what we do is we get together, whether it's online or in person, we choose a system, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Classic Traveler, BX, D&D. I play Shadowdark. I'm Bronsteining a Shadowdark. And we get everybody at the table. Everyone controls their own faction, or maybe sometimes just one person. And everybody has their own goals, their objectives, and they're issuing orders to the referee through the fog of war. They're trying to accomplish a goal, maybe win an objective, trying to eliminate their enemies. People are forming plots against each other. They're forming alliances with each other. No one can trust anyone. It is exciting. It is fun. There is a little bit of diplomacy to it, but it's diplomacy plus D&D plus a few other inspirational things. But Bronstein is awesome. The term is in the zeitgeist. Nobody owns the idea of a style of play. David Wesley deserves respect, and that's why we call our games Bronstein styles. I play a medieval Bronstein in my house, the Broken Duchy. Each of the players control a patron, They all go to mass combat to control who gets to win the kingdom when it's all said and done. There's all kinds of Bronsteins. There was a Godstein done, a Fishstein. These are all names that are derivative of Bronstein because it is the style of play. Now, we are very aware of the perception that the bros have online. We can grate people, we can rub you the wrong way. It's all in good fun, honestly. We don't care how you play at home. If you don't want to try the things that we're suggesting, no big deal. We're not selling you anything. We're just putting on the kayfabe. Some of us are heels, some of us are faces, and we're challenging people to play the game as best as they can, to stick as closely to the rules as they can so they can learn more about game design, about being a better game master. And honestly, 2024 brOSR is very different than 2020 brOSR. We have a lot of new people coming into the hobby, people that have tried one-to-one time, who've run these campaigns for years. I'm one of them, and they're making YouTube channels. The brOSR is growing, right? We have Harmony Ginger, is kind of brOSR adjacent. We have Dundermoose, we have myself, Jeffro's like at the top, still innovating. We got B-Dubs, we got Night Danger, Fluid the Druid, all these people. Like, it is a massive collection of people. We're not a monolith. We're not all one person. And some of us take very seriously the idea that we should be building and growing this hobby. And I'm here to make friends. My channel is about teaching people old school games, helping answer questions about gaming. And I am here to build the brOSR, and I want to share it with other people. So if you like this, hit like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys.